Okay, so let's start. So in the last class, in the last classes we have understood about what is HANA and what makes it fast and how is it we deploy your applications and try to push down the logic deep into HANA database. And then now we're trying to understand the SAP HANA architecture. So when you say architecture, it's not like you're not trying to learn it for someone else in the interview. You're just trying to learn as if you want to know what is there in it. Okay? What are the different components are there in this HANA server, which is making it fast, and which one does what kind of activities. But this is not like an interview point of view, but this is just to understand what different components does your HANA server have it, and what does each component do, and how does it overall perform the activities of the database. That is what we're trying to understand. Okay. Now first one, the SAP HANA database is developed by using C++ as the language. So in the backend, you would see in the server, if you get into the server, you would see that it's all formulated with the C++ coding, the backend. So when you say HANA database is also software, yes or no? It's a soft. You just use C++ as a language, and they built a software which is basically able to store data into some place, and you're able to retrieve it whenever you want. So the concept of database is about retrieving when you want. This concept is been implemented. They have implemented a software by using C++ as a language, and they've developed a software which can basically be leveraged for storing data and then retrieve whenever you want. So software is all about programming. It's all about programs, and the HANA software is developed with the programs with C++. Okay. Then, so once you develop a software or a programs, you would have an exe file, and the exe file can run only on some OS bus. You can only run your exe files on some OS only. And this HANA software or the exe files relevant for SAP HANA would run on Linux server. SUSE Linux Enterprise Server is actually the OS on which the HANA database would be installed. So when you would like to install HANA database, what is it, Anil? You can just ping me if you have something. Yeah. Okay. So what you do is you basically first install the SUSE Linux server OS. On top of this OS, you start installing your HANA database. So it is built with C++ as a language, and it is installed on top of SUSE Linux. Okay. Hmm. So when you look at HANA database, it's a software. So it does contain a lot of servers. When it's a server, each server is a program again. It's a set of programs. When it's a server, it's actually a service which is actually running with some programs in the backend. It's again a program, right? So what they've done is instead of having a single server, HANA database has got multiple servers in it. Like say, look at this, we got demand server, index server, name server, pre-processor server, script server, or what is this? Access engine, all this. Out of all this, the main one would be what? Your index server. Out of all this, the main server is what? Your index server. So if you basically go into the system, and I'll come to this later, but when I go to this, what is administration? If you go to what is this here? Landscape, you can see the different servers. What is server antundo, service antundo. Server ante it's a program which can provide service at the point. Server is nothing but it's all about a program which can provide service to the end user, any activities you do. Yeah. So these are the different services which are installed on the system. In the real time, you can see multiple index servers also. If it is a distributed environment, you get to see multiple index servers also, not only one. Okay, it depends on the if it is a distributed system, you can see multiple index servers also. Together will be considered as one HANA database server. Okay, fine. Now we'll look at just the get the overview on what does each server do, what does index server do, what does pre-process server do, all those. Yeah. See, but you see, there's something called demand, right? The importance of the demand is, let's say now server is down and you start the server. When you start your server, first it starts the demand, and demand takes care about starting all other servers. When you start up your HANA server, first it basically starts up the server called demand service. And the main responsibility of demand is about starting up all other services, index service or your name server or pre-processor server or what access engine. All those will be up by what? By using demand. Demand is one which triggers all other services. Okay. Now index server. This is the main server of your HANA database and which handles your database. So when you say basically store data into table, you retrieve data from the database table, or all this data management of your database is all handled by your index server. Is all handled by your index. All the database management or all the engines of your database is all handled by your index server. Complete database engines, processing of HANA database transactions is all handled by index server. Yeah. And index server would have some port. Okay. Now, when you say port, look at this. Now, when you have your system connected, what is this? It says SAP9, Cubex, and 01. The 01 is referred as your instance. 01 is referred as what? Your instance number. So, if your instance number is 01, the index server port would be this way. Yeah. It will be like 3XX15. So, XX should be replaced with your instance number. So, what is your now? 30115 is my port for my index server. So, if you know the instance number of your server, which is like 01 here, port of your index server would be this 30115. Suppose if your instance is 00, then your port would be 30015. That's how it is. So the second number and third numbers must be replaced with your instance number of your server. That's the port of your index server. Okay. So that's a port where your index server actually runs in. Yeah. So when you want to interact with the index server, you always ping your HANA database by using that port 30115. When you say HANA server, there are a lot of servers. Now, which service do you want to trigger? If I say HANA server with this port 30115, it means you're triggering index server. Okay, good. Next, pre-processor server. Now, other day we discussed that in HANA we can process unstructured data. Like we have something called full text index, fuzzy search. There is something called fuzzy search. When I say fuzzy search, fault tolerant search. For example, I'm trying to search for the word Cubex. I need to get all the strings which says Cubex Technologies, Cubex Private Limited, anything it is, anywhere where the string matches at least minimum to 10% or 5%, we can give weightage also. That is called as fuzzy search. Normally, if I say search with string Cubex, it will only give me where exactly matches to Cubex only. But I don't want the exact match. I want even if it is near, I can give some weightage. Weightage will vary from 0 to 1. Okay. If I increase the weightage, it also gives me more nearing to that. Like it's like more simulating like Ajax in Google. If you try type in something, it does show me all the possible strings. Yes or no? If you go to Google and type in something say it shows me all possible strings at the top bottom. This is called as Ajax actually. Okay, you can simulate the same thing by using fuzzy search. That is called as, if I use some word, all fault tolerant search limits also can be given out. That is called as fuzzy search. Fuzzy search is all handled by your server. And there's something called full text index where you do sentiment analysis on top of unstructured data. Like say I get some reviews of certain object or certain product, and I would like to do sentiment analysis on that product. Say how much has been positive, how much has been negative, and I can use something called full text index. So processing of unstructured data, fuzzy search, processing of all this text data is all handled by your pre-processor server. So index server will basically leverage this pre-processor server to process all your text data, which is unstructured data. Okay. Next, it is name server. So when you say name server, now generally, see, I can install HANA as a single server, or I can install HANA as a distributed systems also. What is single and distributed? Single means single node architecture. It will have only one set of engines. If I go with distributed, I would like to have multiple index servers together contributing to index, because I would like to have sizing like that. I would like to have 4 to 5 systems or 4 to 5 index servers together contributing as one index server. That is what we call as multi-node or distributed systems. So when you have in a scenario, in a case of distributed, I have name server which will have information about what data is available in which node. For example, I have a table. I split the table data across multiple index servers, but I need to have some index like stuff which says which data is available in which node, right? In a multi-node architecture, my table might be split across multi-node, but I need to have one component or an index kind of stuff which tells me which part of data of my table is available in which node. That is called as name server. So in a distributed system, your name server will have information about all the components, which component is available in which node, and what data is available split across into which node. So name server is mainly useful when you're in a distributed system, okay? Distributed environment, or multi-node installation. అంటే రెండు మూడు ఇండెక్స్ సర్వర్లు కలిపి ఒక అనా సర్వర్ చేస్తారు అనమాట. అంటే మన సైజింగ్ సరిపోక. దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ డిస్ట్రిబ్యూటెడ్ సిస్టమ్స్. Next, statistic server. This is about collecting statistics for every operation you do. For example, you run a select statement. It does collect all the stats, what was the time taken by this particular operation, and it keeps collecting that information into some backend standard tables. We'll have a schema called statistics, and all the statistics data will be maintained into that particular tables of that schema. Statistics అని ఒక స్కీమా ఉంటుంది, దాంట్లో అన్ని టేబుల్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఆ టేబుల్స్ లో స్టాటిస్టిక్స్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అంతా పెట్టుకుంటాడు. ఎవరు పెట్టుకుంది? స్టాటిస్టిక్స్ సర్వర్ విల్ డూ దట్. So for every operation you do in your HANA database, your statistics server will collect the statistics of this operation and collects all the data into those statistics tables. Like something like in BW we have RSDD stat tables, same what like the statistics tables. Okay. And then they'll also have something I told you from SP5, SAP HANA from SP5, it has got something called Access Engine also, which is called as extended application server, which makes HANA database as a platform. I told HANA is an in-memory database and also as what? Platform. So because of this Access Engine in HANA database, makes your HANA database as a platform. So when you say platform, by using HANA native framework, SAP UI5 or backend scripting or your OData services or XML or JavaScript, by using this framework, you can develop your own application, HANA native applications, and deploy applications on top of this Access Engine. And you can run your server. So say let's say I have Lumira server. I can install Lumira server onto Access Engine. I have Design Studio server. I can install Design Studio server onto Access Engine. It is actually platform where you can install all your server software onto it and deploy your applications to run on Access Engine. ఆ Access Engine అనేది ఒక ప్లాట్ఫామ్. దాంట్లో నీకు ఏ సర్వర్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ కావాలో ఆ సర్వర్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ అన్ని ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసి you can run your applications on Access Engine. So having Access Engine in your HANA server makes it as a platform. That's what I discussed the other day about all the front-end services and database. So like this, we would have all the servers, but out of this, the main server would be what? Index server. Now we're trying to open up the index server in detail and trying to understand the engines, what all engines does it have and what engine does what. Okay. So you'll have HANA database and you'll have index server in it, and it'll have all the engines into which will process your database. So what you do is, now let's say you have HANA server, you first get connected to the HANA server and then start working onto it, right? For example, let's say, look at this now. I'll come to this later, but now I have, let's say this is representing one system, one HANA server. I right click and say what? I'd say what? From the client system, I'm logging on to my server. Okay. When I basically give the user, it does do some authentication. It allows me to log into the system. And now once I've logged in, I have forwarded a session. Let's say I open some SQL editor, and this will be referred as one session. And I start running some commands, say something, select star from some table or something. I run this and it does collect, it gives me results and also collecting some statistics here. It is taking 1 ms so much of time and it is collecting some statistics. So when I run this select statement, is it sending a request to the index server and index server processing this request and giving me the results. And then I'm in the client system. I am executing certain select statement which will send a request to my index server. Index server will process this request by using the engines what it has got and then gives me the results back. Antena, right? So like this is a session, right? Okay. Now understand this. So on our index server will have something called connection and session management. So from the client tools, I am getting connected to HANA database server by using some username and password. Username and password. I'm just getting connected. So is it like you're establishing connection to the HANA database server, and then you do what? Session bus. And once you log in, each screen or each screen you open is referred as what? Session. So the connection and the sessions are managed by this connection and session management. This will be this part of your index server will manage your connections from the client system to the server, and the sessions are maintained. Connection and the session. It need not be from HANA Studio bus. Even let's say you run a report in BO environment. So what does BO do? It will have some user login through which it will get connected to HANA, then it reads the database. And if I need to send a request to my HANA server, first I need to get connected to that server bus. And the connection of that and sessions is all handled by this connection and what? Session management. And when you're establishing connection, do I need to check the authentication? Like username, password, we'll have different authentications, but all authentication is handled by this engine, which is what? Authentication engine. This will take care of what? Handling all your incoming authentications. Let's say you get a connection request with some username and password, and that authentication is checked against with this engine. And then if it is true, it allows the connection to be established. Once the connection is established, we'll have multiple sessions. Each screen is one session. So multiple sessions, and all the sessions are managed by this connection and session management. So connecting to HANA database is index server. Index server is a core of HANA database, which actually allows you for getting connected to the HANA server and session management also. Okay. For managing session, it does use this session engine. Okay, you'll have authentication engine and session engine which handles that. Good. Let's say now what I do is you basically connected to a HANA database and you opened a SQL editor, which is actually a session. You opened a session bus. Now in this session, you're firing out a select statement. So select star from this table. When I fire a query, will it send that request to my HANA server bus? I just created a session. I'm just trying to do some operation. Every operation you do in the client system will send a request to the request has to be processed in server bus. It sends it. It will send your request to your HANA server bus, and whatever the request which is sent to HANA server is all processed by this block. We call this request processing and control block, which will have this engine: SQL processor, SQL script, MDX engine, planning engine, and calculation engine. This is the actual processing block bus. Your HANA index server will have the request processing block. And what do you mean by request here? That is, the request is nothing but the operation what is performed on the client and request to me to execute it. That each request execution is what my request was. I need to execute that request was. I need to compile that and execute it was. That is what handled at this part of it. And it will have, so to execute the incoming request, it will have some engines in it. So again, engine is again a program. What does that engine do? Engine will have some program which will be able to understand the instruction given by the customer and they executes accordingly and gives the results back. Okay, boss? So mainly you'll have a component, in underlying engines, but all underlying engines will be covered by engine called SQL processor, preprocessor. Okay. So what this does is you get an incoming request, right? First it checks what kind of request, because this request engine will only execute data manipulation statements only. Your request processing block will only execute data manipulation. When I say data manipulation, like select statement, insert, delete, updates, load, unloading, all those kind of data manipulation statements are performed by this requesting block bus. But let's say in the session you have opened, you might have executed statement like create so and so table, which is what? It's a DDL, data definition language statement. So you're just trying to create a database. Yeah. So what your SQL processor do for all, it gets all the incoming requests to it and identifies whether it is a data manipulation statement or is it a DDL statement or a transactional statement. Suppose if it is DDL statement, it will send this request to what? Metadata manager to build that metadata and then maintain that metadata into this some standard tables. Like for example, I send request saying create so and so table with the name, say table name is customer with these columns. So that is a DDL. It sends the DDL statement to what? Metadata manager, and then metadata manager will create the table for you and stores detailed information about the table into some standard tables, which is called as what? Metadata bus. There will be some standard tables, repository tables, where it maintains all the metadata of the data dictionary. Let's say you create some table, information about the table is maintained into some other standard table. So you create database view, information about this view will be maintained in some standard table. You create some trigger, you create some sequence, information about every database object will be maintained in some standard tables, which is called as what? Metadata bus. Clear on this? And next, you might also, let's say the incoming request might be some control statements, like say commit, rollback. So for example, you're performing some transaction, insert, and then after inserting, you execute saying commit. I would commit is like what? Saving that. And when I say rollback, I don't do these changes. I want roll back to the status what it was previous. Yeah. So rollback commit is called as control statements. So when it finds an incoming request as a control statement, it sends this to what? Transaction manager. Because when you create the database, it has to satisfy the property called durability bus or atomicity. When I say atomicity, whether the transaction is completely done or nothing is done bus. Either you do the complete transaction or nothing is done. So, for example, you're basically retrieving data from one bank account and placing it again, depositing it another account. Let's say you've withdrawn from account one and you lose an internet connection. Then where is the money gone now? So either this transaction should be completely done or it should be undone. That is called as rollback. So again, the amount should be deposited back to what? Account one. That is called as rollback. If you perform the transactions completely, then when execute commit, then the amount is deposited into what? Account 2. So that is called as atomicity. Either it should be complete done or undone. Okay. All the control management statements are handled by your what? Transaction manager. Rollback and commit is all handled by your transaction manager. So let's say, see every incoming request will go to SQL preprocessor bus. SQL preprocessor will understand whether it is DDL statement, then it sends it to what? Metadata manager. If it is control statements about rollback or committing the changes, then it gets to what? Transaction manager. Transaction manager will perform those transactions, commit or rollback. But if it is data manipulation statements about selecting or inserting, updating, deleting, load, unload, all those will be handled by these underlying engines of SQL preprocessor, which is what? SQL script, MDX engine, planning engine, and calculation engine. So majorly, you'll mainly have three main engines. One is SQL script, MDX, and planning engine. Now SQL script, because see in HANA, HANA also in HANA we can write your programming, which is what we call the SQL script, which is nothing but your extension to SQL. Like in Oracle, how do you write your PLSQL? In HANA, we would write SQL script. which is nothing but normal extension to your SQL statement. So when the preprocessor feels that that is in a data manipulation statement written with SQL script, it will leverage SQL script engine to execute that SQL statement, get the results back. But if the incoming request is an MDX query, suppose if the incoming request is an MDX query, then it leverage what? MDX engine to execute that MDX. Now, when you say MDX, SQL is like normal relational, and MDX will be what? Multi-dimensional on OLAP engines. Yeah? And then you'll have what? Planning engine. This will be mainly used when you work with BW on HANA. So because BW will have planning applications like integrated planning. So you do execute certain planning functions like copy, repost, distribution, aggregation. There will be a lot of planning functions. All those planning functions are performed by this what? The planning engine. SQL script engine is to execute all your SQL script statements or SQL statements. MDX engine is to execute your MDX queries, and planning engine is to execute your planning functions. Planning copy and for example, I have some planning data which is in version V1, and I would like to copy this planning data to version V2. This copy function will get executed by planning engine if you install planning kit in BW. Or say I go with distribution. For example, I plan it for the entire year next year. Let's say 2016. I plan my revenue as say 10,000. I would say I execute a planning function, say distribute for 4 quarters equally. I would say then this 10,000 will be distributed for each quarter as 2,500, 2,500 for all 4 quarters. It could be any planning function will get executed by what? Planning engine. Okay, boss. Whether it is SQL script engine or MDX engine or planning engine will all be framed out on the infrastructure of calculation engine. All these engines would leverage calculation engine. Whether it is SQL script engine or MDX engine or planning engine would leverage calculation engine at the back. I mean, they all three are based on the calculation engine at the back. Now, what does this calculation engine do? Is like this is what's special about HANA with the calculation engine, which can handle complex calculations at a very faster pace. And the important thing here is what? It has got its own instantiation process. Means let's say you've defined let's say you've defined a model, let's say calculation. We've got HANA models like calculation view or analytical view, which will have all the different kind of operations like join, union, aggregation, projection. You'll do a lot of operations. You might have defined with certain structures. So when you what calculation engine does is when you fire a query on top of that model, it does not execute entire logic. It does execute logic for only the columns what is requested by the reporting. So let's say you've defined a calculation view that is called as design model bus. When you run a query on that particular calculation, any the table or whatever it is, what does calculation engine do is it creates one execution model. To get the output of this result, what all steps do I need to? It formulates a runtime model for the HANA calculation view or analytical view runtime model, which is called as execution plan, and then identifies which steps can be executed parallel, and then executes them parallel, and then gives results out. For example, see it here. So I have some. So I have some view. So what I've done, if you look at this view definition, I've got join, then join 3, join 4, aggregation, then so I need to perform all these 5 operations, right? And in each operation, it's got like say first joining is on these 2 columns and select 3 columns from this table, then what? 3 columns from this table. The next is again join on this 2 columns from this table, and then what? Some around 6 columns from this table. There's a lot of columns to be referred from. But when I try to run the output, say for example, if I run, let's say I run the result saying company name and say gross amount. This is my report, what I'm trying to run this. So when I try to run this report, it doesn't mean that it executes it starts executing this. Say, first it goes to this join, joins both the tables and get the 6 columns, then goes to the next join, joins these 2 tables, gets all the 8 columns. It does not bring all the 8 or all the 6. What is my output here? What is it you wanted? Company name and what? Net amount. Okay. So what it does is from the bottom of the table, it only refers it will be interested to bring only what? Company name, and then it gets address ID so that it can, in the next level, it can join it. And it keeps getting only that company name and net amount only for the output. So it forms something runtime model for it. I can show you this. For example, you can, if you drop down, say what is debug this view. But I'll come back to all this later, but for now, so what from, and then I'll say only. So my query is this one, select so and so company name and sum of what? Net amount from this view where group by what? This is my query. Now let's run this. When I run this, see, this is design time view and this is runtime model. So calculus engine will formulate a runtime model with an execution plan on it, saying, okay, now let's look at each. If you go to the bottom, so what is the query here? What it is reading? It is reading only what? Company name and partner ID. Is it reading all the 6 columns? But here again, company and sales order ID. Whatever is required. Now ultimately when you get this here, it's just bringing only what? Company name and net amount. So is it reading all the columns what has been defined in that node in the design time object? No. When you run a query, based on the query output what my user needs in, it formulates a runtime model, execution model, then starts understanding which all operations can be done in parallel, and if it can be executed in parallel, it will execute in parallel. And once, so calculus engine is that it does. If you look at, we'll get in details how when the debugging we can understand that, but calculus engine ఏం చేస్తుందంటే, let's say you executed a query report. Based on the reporting requirement, it formulates one execution model on the data, then understands which all operations can be done in parallel and executes them in parallel. That is what calculus engine does. It is got its own style of execution, which is we refer it as instantiation process of calculus engine. What it does is you give it a big query bus. Then based on this query requirement, it basically does what? It formulates its own execution model and separates each of the operations and say these operations can be done in parallel, executes them in parallel and gets the result out. But doesn't mean that if you've designed a view in a certain model, it always does not execute everything at a time, all at a time. Only based on the reporting requirement, it formulates a separate execution model apart from the design model, then executes the execution model parallel if required. That is all done by calculus engine. So a calculus engine will formulate the execution model, split the operations, and all the operations will be executed by your what? SQL script or MDX or what? Planning engine. Calculus engine ఏమంటే మొత్తం మోడల్ని ఎగ్జిక్యూషన్ మోడల్ సెట్ చేసి విడిదీసి ఏ ఫైల్ రన్ చేయాలి చెప్పేదంతే. ఆ రన్ చేసేది మాత్రం ఇవి చేస్తాయి. And if these are not able to run it, if it is complex, and calculus engine itself will take care about running it. Because if you write some logic with something called CE functions అని ఉంటాయి, calculus engine functions అని. If you write with that, then it actually executes that logic in what? Calculus engine itself. Otherwise, it normally only formulates the execution model, and once execution model is done, the execution model will only tell you what all operations needs to be done and what is the preceding or what should be done, and then it starts executing them with SQL script or what? MDX or planning engine. So calculus engine is all about only instantiating or setting up the model, execution model bus. But if you write your logic with CE functions, it also does the execution model and Execute the same in what? Calculation engine. For more complex calculations, we would use the engines. Inka, there's two engines which are not available here. There's something called join engine and overlap engine and ఉంటుంది. You'll still have two more engines. One is called join engine and overlap engine. When you go to HANA modeling, we will understand that there will be three types of views. One is attribute view, analytical view, and calculation view. View is all about virtual models. Okay. So when you leverage join attribute view, it does leverage join engine. When you leverage analytical view, it does use overlap engine. For if you leverage calculation views, it does leverage calculation engine. Calculation engine కాకుండా ఇంకా overlap engine, join engine ఉంటుందన్న. If you fire a query on attribute view, it does leverage join engine in the backend. If you fire a query on analytical view, it does use overlap engine in the backend. If I fire a query on calculation view, you leverage what? Calculation engine in the backend. But apart from calculation engine, there is option here. We'll get to that later, but just get the vocabulary. See, these are called as what? Attribute views, and you'll have what? They're called analytical views. So for this, it will use join engine. For this, it will use overlap engine. And this is what? Calculation views. For the calculation, it does use what? Calculation engine. By default, it's calculation engine. But what did I tell you? Calculation just formulates the execution model, but the actual execution takes place with what? SQL script engine. That can also be done like this. If you go to semantics, properties, there's some option here. What is this? Execute in this runtime model. Sorry. If you go to design time model, I can say execute in what? See, if I just leave it by default, calculation view will be, it does formulate execution model and executes in what? Calculation engine. But if it's execute in SQL engine, calculation engine will only formulate the execution model, but actual execution will be done by what? SQL engine. Okay, boss. We can see more in detail. For example, ఏం ఇంజన్స్ వాడుతుంది ఎట్లా అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ సెలెక్ట్ స్టార్ ఫ్రమ్ So this is actually calculation. If I select this, and I can also right click on this and say what? Visualize plan. This will tell me the execution path of it in graphical. Expand it. If you just say right click and execute, it executes it and shows me the execution plan. Time, but if you go expand in detailed. Not detailed, okay. No. ఇక్కడ ఆపరేషన్స్ లిస్ట్ అని దొరుకుతుంది. యూ కెన్ సీ ఇక్కడ చిన్న ఇది దిస్ వ్యూ ఇస్ ఓన్లీ రీడింగ్ టేబుల్, నథింగ్ ఎల్స్. బట్ ఇఫ్ యూ డూయింగ్ జాయిన్ ఆల్ దిస్, ఇట్ విల్ షో మీ ఆపరేషన్స్ లైక్ జేఈ, BW on. JE అంటే జాయిన్ ఇంజిన్, BW means overlap engine, and if you see CE means calculation engine. By looking at the operations, we can see which engine is being leveraged in the back end here. Okay. But actually, you'll have all those engines in this request processing, which actually process. Okay. Next, you'll have what? Relational engines. So HANA will have row store and column store, right? So we have a separate engine to process your row store database. We have a separate engine to process your column store database. When you're processing your request, if you want to read data from any of the table, if it is row store, it does use row store engine. Okay. If you want to read from a column store table, it does use what? Column store engine. So when I say column store, it will have its engines and also the mechanism, all the logics to handle your row store tables. Column store block will have all the engines which are supposed to manipulate the column store tables. So when you want to read data from a column store tables, your calculation engines will leverage what? Column store engines to read from the column store tables. If they want to read from row store, then calculation engines or all these your engines will leverage what? రో స్టోర్ ఇంజిన్ టు రీడ్ ఫ్రమ్ రో స్టోర్ టేబుల్. అంటే రో స్టోర్ ని ఎలా మ్యానిపులేట్ చేయాలి, ఎలా ఉంటుంది ఆ మ్యానిపులేషన్స్ అంతా రో స్టోర్ ఇంజిన్. కాలమ్ స్టోర్ టేబుల్ మ్యానిపులేషన్ అంతా కాలమ్ స్టోర్ ఇంజిన్. ఇట్స్ నాట్ అబౌట్ రీడింగ్ ఆ డెల్టా మర్జ్ ఇవన్నీ, ఇట్స్ ఆల్ హ్యాండిల్డ్ బై యువర్ కాలమ్ స్టోర్ ఇంజిన్ ఇట్స్. దిస్ బికాస్ యాక్చువల్లీ ఇంటర్నల్ గా ఏంటంటే we'll have certain data types like varchar, nvarchar, date, all this, right? The data types for row store is different. The data types for column store is different. So column store engine will only understand the data type specific to column store alone. And in the row store, it understands only data type specific to row store. So different engines processing row store tables, one engine processing column store tables. But while you are creating table, you will not see the data types differently. You will see data, but internally, when system is creating column table, it converts those data types to data specific to column store. When you are creating table, you will just see common set of data like varchar, integer, float, all this. But internally, what system does, it converts those data types to column store specific data types and then creates column store. It's not for it, it's all system does it, conversion. Okay. Merging will column store is one which handles the complete operations of column store table. Whether it's merging or reading, creating column table, everything is handled by that one. Next question. We told you, we discussed that saying HANA will store data in main memory, right? RAM. So, but how does it guarantee durability? So when I said durability, once I store my data into the database, it has to be permanently stored until I delete it. But being RAM being volatile, when there's power loss, you lose all the data, right? But how does it guarantee the complete data persistency, durability for the database? That's what. So that is handled by your persistency layer. Persistency layer main responsibility is about managing the durability of the data. Means once it's stored, it has to keep it for long. Until you delete it, the data should be there. Even though your RAM is volatile. Okay. Now how is it? Look at this. But till this part of it, the index server, it will be in main memory bus. This is, when I say disk storage, is what? There's hard disk, okay? Now look at this. You'll have two disk storage. One is called as data volume and one is called as log volume. Rendu hard disk separate. Rendu hard disk, what vachesi data volume, what vachesi log volume అని ఉంటుంది. Two hard disks you will have. And data volume is actually holding the complete database in the hard disk. And log volume will have all the logs. I'll tell you what is going to be log here. Look at this. And in the persistence layer, you'll have page management and you'll have something called logger. What does this page management do is, in main memory, it's all about memory is organized by pages, 8-bit page or 16-bit page. Okay. So let's say you insert some new record into a table. So the table, let's say the record sits in main memory bus. So will it update certain page? Means when you're inserting the data into some memory location of a RAM, it means you're updating certain page bus, because RAM only page local memory location. So you are basically modifying certain page bus. So through page management, it can identify which page has been modified or which page has been newly added or whatever it is. It identifies the pages which has been modified and then sends that information to what? Logger, and logger will capture that log into this log volume, which is a hard disk again. By using this page management, it identifies which page has been modified and sends the information about the change to the what? Logger, and logger will log that change into what? Log volume. For every transaction you do in the HANA database, in fact, you're writing it to the disk bus. You do some change in the page in the RAM. Your page management will identify that change and send the changes to what? Logger, and logger will capture the log into log volume. Ultimately, whenever I write data into the HANA database, I'm writing into the disk, because log is what? The disk, right? Okay, boss? Now how does this help you? And then, now look at this. Let's say, and they use some concept called save point. When they execute save point, what happens? All the data in the main memory is returned back to what? What is this here? Date. Every change will be capturing log here. But when does it write data into the data volume? When they execute something save point, all the data from the main memory is written back to the data volume. That's what it's again a hard disk again. Let's say if the save point is for every 5 minutes, and for every 5 minutes, the data from the memory is written back to what? to the disk bus. A disk which is called as what? Data volume bus. Okay. Now mm, let's say now the time is 11. Okay, and there's no new table at all. Okay. Now you started server at 11 o'clock. Okay. Now assume the memory is main memory is blank and data volume is also blank. Now you created a table, okay, and then you inserted 5 records. Let's say 11.1, 11.2, 11.4, 4 transactions. Let's say 4 transactions were created, okay, and we have configured the save point to be occurred at every 5 minutes. So at 11.5, let's say the save point is executed. Now, before save point at 11.5, you'll have 4 records in main memory. For all the 4 records, will it have log in the log volume? Yes or no? But the data volume will have no data now. At 11.5, it executes the save point. Then the 4 records in the main memory is written back to what? To the data volume. Okay, now 11.5 is gone. At 11.6, you create one more transaction. So will it identify the page manager will identify the change, and logger will maintain the log saying at 11.7, at 11.6 there was a new record created. Let's say again 11.7 you create one more new record. Again page man will identify the change. Logger will maintain the log in the log volume. You get one more log into the log. So 2 logs. One is at 11.6 and one is at 11.7. Let's say at 11.8 you lose the power. Okay, the power supply is down. So then what happens? The main memory is lost. Okay, now I will restart my server again. So when you restart the server, what does it do? It has to bring to the latest status bus. How does it bring? All the data from my data volume is loaded back to main memory bus. How many records will it do then? 4 records. Only 4 records were there in the data volume. And then it re-executes those logs which are captured in the log volume bus. It re-executes those logs which have been captured in the log volume. It gets at a log 11.6 log malli execute chese, it gets those 2 new records again. It gets back to the status what it was at 11.7. That is how it is able to guarantee durability. Indirect game, even though HANA is an in-memory database, every read is from RAM, main memory, but every write is to RAM and to the disk bus. So with this, it is able to guarantee the durability or data persistency. It has been handled with this. Clear this bus? So this is your index server. And it's running save point, configuring save point, it's all done by your basis, but any configuration you want to do relevant to HANA, it will be all in this. Yeah. In that, there's something administration. Here, what is here? This is what the tab we use for configuring anything. Say, see what is this? Save point interval. What is it? Default 300 seconds. 300 seconds ante 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And you can still right click and say what. You can also change what is the new value you want. Okay, boss. And they'll also have log of save. So save point will run for every 5 minutes, right? So we need to also observe the log of the save points, how it is going on, if it fails, how is it? So all this is about configuring your servers, boss, in this tab, yeah. Let's just let me show you on. Okay. Now, if I go to this administration, you can see all this. You can see what version of HANA are you working on. If you see, it's a distributed system, no, because mine is a single node system, okay. And if you look at the version, you can see the version, what is this here? 96 is my revision, SP9, and revision is 96. We'll have to refer with revision always. Okay? 96 is the revision I'm using. And we can see what plugins have been, apart from the software, any plugins have done onto it. We can also see this here. And we can see the kernel version, Linux kernel version, because any SAP software will have kernel onto the OS here. And okay, here you can see the main memory utilization. What is this here? Look at this log this is data volume and the log volume. What you understand? What is data volume and log volume? Two separate disks. Okay. So this is about the sizing of your data volume. This is about sizing about your log volume. Anything you want more information, you can just always click in. For data volume, log volume, you can just see about what each server is using, how much of index server major portion of it is used by what? Index server. Even in the log volume, major portion is used by your index server only. Yeah. So like this, you can see CPU utilization. You can see here memory RAM utilization, disk utilizations, and in the landscape tab, you can see the complete what else, how many servers do we have. But here I see only one index server. But if it is a multi-node installation, distributed systems, you will see multiple index servers. Yeah. Mhm. And let's say now we got different servers, right? Index server and all Access Engine server. In the configuration tab, you configure all the parameters specific to each of the servers. For example, now what is here? accessengine.ini. When I expand this file, let's say I want to go with some application content something and HTTP. So in this accessengine.ini, I can configure all the properties specific to Access Engine server bus. I told you Access Engine is like it's a platform where you can deploy your applications on top of it. So application container you can specify what all applications should run. నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే ఐఎమ్ రన్నింగ్ సమ్ ఒక ఏదో అప్లికేషన్ తెచ్చుకున్నా. విల్ సీ వాట్ ఈస్ దట్ లేటర్. బట్ see, one second. This is I just imported some program. I've written some program which is supposed to run on Access Engine. So I have the program, but how do I make sure I have this program, but how do I make sure this program runs on Access Engine? Look at this. In the application list, I specified this libxsdxc is actually the program name. If you want to see the actual program name, what is lib? This is the XSC function, but that's actually a program. We'll say when I say libxsdxc, it means what this program will start running on Access Engine. Like this, you can configure some properties of your server like this. Atle you'll have it what script server. What is here? Index server. You'll have lots of stuff properties which you can control from here. Configuration is a tab where you can configure the parameters of a specific servers what you want. The server gala behavior, the behavior, కొన్ని parameters configure this. This is all admin, but this is where it does that things. Okay. This is yeah. What is it? What is it? Yeah. The log into log volume. Yeah. It has to be in sync. Only when the when it records the log volume, only then the commit is done. Otherwise, it will be a rollback. Then logging the log is also a part of the transaction. Suppose I insert a record into the table. Once it already captured the log, it's also into the log volume. Only then the transaction is completely done. It is synchronous. What is entrance? Sorry. This one. This is index server. This is a hard disk. Completely hard disk, which is maintained by your index server. Index server will handle that. Index server is using so much of space in that disk. That's the point. See, the request processing, these engines use index server. Index server will use the data volume or the log volume. ఇది రెండు డిస్క్లో ఇండెక్స్ సర్వర్ ఎంత స్పేస్ వాడుకుంటుంది అనేది పాయింట్ అంతే. బికాస్ టు స్టోర్ యువర్ లాగ్ వాల్యూమ్ ఆర్ డేటా వాల్యూమ్ హౌ మచ్ స్పేస్ ఇస్ బీన్ లెవరేజ్డ్ బై ఇండెక్స్, బట్ ద స్పేస్ ఇస్ బీన్ ఇన్ యువర్ హార్డ్ డిస్క్, నాట్ ఇన్ ద ర్యామ్. ఓకే. Yeah, you know, delete it. I don't what is when delete transaction. Delete transaction will delete from the main memory, and it will also when it save point is done, it also affects the your disk also. Actually, the లోపల delete direct కాకుండా కొన్ని వర్షన్లు పెట్టుకుంటుంది ఎక్స్ అన్ని ఇండికేషన్స్ పెట్టుకుని రికార్డ్ డిలీట్ అని పెట్టుకుంటుంది దెన్ వెన్ యూ డూ సేవ్ పాయింట్ దెన్ ఇట్ యాక్చువల్లీ డస్ ది రిఫ్లెక్షన్స్ ఆల్ ఇన్ టు ది డిస్క్ బస్ యాక్చువల్లీ disk. That's what I'm saying. Actually, when you execute delete statement, there's a different way this handles actually. When you execute different delete a statement, you don't see that record, but internally the record is still there, but it maintains that with a different indication saying this record is deleted, but record is still there. When it writes back, when a save point happens, this based on that indication, it understands okay, this record has to be dropped. Then the complete record has been dropped. Then, until then, you will find some still the record will be there, and it maintains an indication that this record has been deleted. Then when you do a save point, then when it writes the changes to the disk, then actual record is completely dropped from the table. You got F1. Yeah. You go F1 go to same this. Okay. We have seen this different HANA components saying what are the different functionalities HANA can do about what we can have real-time replication services through which you can connect what SLT server to it, and data server does HANA supports it. You have what through BODS util you can connect push data into HANA through as a target, and it's an in-memory database. And HANA will also have R engine which can execute your R language also, and it can have smart data access through which it can integrate what Hadoop. All the chapter what I'm just running through, and yeah, this HANA will have its own predict analytics library and business function library. Okay, AFL and AFL లేదా okay, boss. Actually, when you say predict, and these are nothing but what ready-made functions which are defined by C++ as a language. You'll have a schema called AFL and ఉంటుంది boss. In the AFL schema, you'll have all the different set of procedures which are given as part of this predict analytics library and business function library. Boss. And then calculation engine and planning engine, and you'll have processing of unstructured data for text searching and fuzzy search, full text index, and Access engine to deploy your applications. And HANA Studio will be the client tool to get connected to HANA database and start working on it. And this on top of HANA, you can start doing real-time reporting, or you can build your applications on top of HANA. Whether it could be business objects or SAP or non-SAP, anything. And then SAP and a software specification. Now, software is available in 3 different specifications. Like when you buy the software, you can either just buy the platform edition or enterprise edition or extended edition. Okay. When you basically go with platform edition, you will just get only the pure HANA database. Okay. And when you go with enterprise edition, you get the HANA database, and you also get SLT and data services and DXC server login also. DXC is not a server, but it's actually an enablement. Okay. So the platform edition, you will just have pure database server. And in the enterprise, you'll have the HANA database as well as SLT, BODS also has been given. And in enterprise extended edition, you'll get all this, including even Sybase replication. There's one more mechanism called Sybase replication, which is similar to your SLT. There's something called Sybase replication is also available as part of the software. Different edition ante. Okay. Which one? This one. See, When you say load, that is what I told you. There's something called daemon, and daemon is the one which actually loads all other servers, and the controlling of that loading is all done by the daemon itself. And we have gone through the use cases. Basically, you can use HANA as data mart, where you install HANA as a separate database and get data from different systems into HANA through what? Data provisioning, and then do reporting. And leveraging HANA as database means HANA can be leveraged as a backend database for existing application, whether it is SAP or non-SAP, anything. Yeah? And can I also use mixed approach, like say for if it is BW, from BW 7.3 SP5, it supports to have HANA as the backend database. And can we also have ECC on HANA? Yes, API with HANA is all out, but future would be this. You'll have multiple SAP applications sitting on single HANA platform. Yeah, right now it's not. At least it has to be a different instance. And okay, I can have one server with multiple instances, each instance for a different ECC for one instance, and that is possible. But okay, instance with a multiple is not possible. Now we can install one HANA server, have multiple instances enabled 00, 01, 02, 00 instance to one ECC I can use, and 01 I can use it for a. I can do that, but okay instance ki multiple I can't share. Segregation of partition of like how in SAP how you'll have client 001 something like that. And we can also use SAP for what? Accelerating things. You'll install it a separate database, and we will use it only for what? Speeding up certain business functionalities of the system. So that's it. We've discussed all this. It's fine. And we can also go with HANA on cloud. Yeah. Because this can make it more cost effective if you want to reduce the costing of the hardware. So BW you can have in premises, HANA you can have on cloud, and install BW on HANA on cloud also. Yeah. And you can also have scenario of mixed approach where HANA is used as a database for BW, and the same HANA is used as a data mart also. Then we go with what? Mixed approach also. And we can also use HANA for developing your native applications and deploy it on XS engine. Could be any of the use case you can work on. Yeah. Okay, boss. We stopped here, but now we're going to go get to this. What is HANA Studio, boss? Now we'll get onto the system actually. So now I would like to get connected to my HANA server. Then what I do, I just get into what? HANA Studio will be my client application, which I use it to get connected to my HANA server. So you just get, which is an Eclipse-based tool bus. Yeah. I get into this, and you see a view called what? In this system, we'll have to say right click, say what? Add system, and start giving your server name of your HANA server. Mine is what? SAP CubeX is my server. And it last be instance. This will be given. You will be given connection data. Mine is 01, and they will say SAP HANA dev box or something, and say next. And I can go with normal user authentication, or I can have other authentications also, but for me it is this. Also dev box. That's I connected the system. Once I have the studio, I can get connected to n number of HANA servers, not only one. I've got one more with a different is 00, and then kitchen. It is multi-node or single node. Mine is single node, so say HANA QTY. I think this is also there. So this is another system you can say log on. this is one HANA database saying, look at this, when you keep cursor on it, you can see the properties. You're connecting to 30015. So instance is what 00. But if you see this connection, you're connecting to what 30115. That's a, for me, server name is same, but the instances are different. Okay. So like this, once you have the studio, you can get connected to n number of servers like this. Okay. That's fun. And then you run this is your HANA Studio, which is more like an Eclipse based tool. Okay. And this will have a concept called perspective. See, look at this. When I say open perspective, you see ABAP perspective, BW modeling, HANA modeler, HANA development, debug, all this. So what they, and administration perspective, what SAP does is, see, if I log into HANA as a modeler, I do all about HANA modeling and I deal with database, HANA modeling, provisioning, all those stuff. So in HANA okay, if I log in as HANA native development role, I would do all of creating SAP UFA applications, and I create OData services. I work on that kind of activities. If I log into HANA Studio for working on BW specific where I want to create advanced DSO or OpenOD SV, I want to create composite provider specific to BW, then I will get it what I will have different kind of activities what I need to do. If I log in as an ABAPer, I need to work on HANA specific ABAP, then I'll have different kind of activities to do. What SAP has done is, instead of giving separate tools for each of the persons, HANA BW separate tool, ABAP BW separate tool, HANA native development instead of giving them separate tool, what they've done is, they said the tool will be one. HANA Studio is one. But within HANA Studio, I'll give different perspectives for each of the person. Let's say you want to work as a modeler, then use HANA Modeler. You will have the views or a screen specific to your requirement. Say within the same tool, you want to work on BW modeling. Let's say you get into your own perspective. You have screens which is more specific to BW modeling or views. Views are the screens. Okay. And when I go to ABAP, you'll have more screens more specific to your ABAP relevant development. అర్థమైందా పర్స్పెక్టివ్ అంటే అర్థమైందన్న ఒక టూల్ ఒకటే చేసేసి దానిలో పర్స్పెక్టివ్స్ వేరే ఇచ్చిన డిపెండింగ్ ఆన్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ యాక్టివిటీస్ వాట్ యూ వాంట్ టు డూ the kind of views will be different for me. For example, if I am a modeler, I'll say window reset perspective. This is how it actual perspective looks like. This is modeler perspective. Like, and this every perspective will have views like systems view, various list view, properties view, job log, quick view. This is modeler perspective. And if you're logged into HANA Studio for modeling as a HANA modeler, then this perspective is more suitable with this kind of screens to do all your kind of activities. Suppose I've come in for HANA native development, okay. Let's have come in for HANA native development where I want to develop my own HANA native applications. Okay. And this screen is more, let's say if you go in, okay, what kind of project you create? What? XS project, and this is where you start having about all those HANA native developments you do. So the screens here would enable me to do my HANA native development. Same, if I get into BW modeling, then so this will have its own type of screen, and I can get into my BW project. And I would get to see my info providers. I can just right click and then say new and see what. If it's a new advanced video, I'll get a screen relevant to that. Say if I go, I want to work ABAP specific to HANA, then I'll go to what? ABAP perspective, then I'll go with ABAP project. So you want to create what? You want to create an ABAP class or ABAP program or any kind of ABAP. You want to create some data dictionary, you want to create a table, log, dictionary, database view, whatever you want. Whatever you could do in SC11, all this can be done. So ABAP specific, BW specific, HANA native development, HANA modeler run. And there'll be some perspectives just for debugging. Let's say you written some stored procedure. I would like to debug. Only for debugging, there's a separate perspective. Just now we've seen some graphical execution plan of a view. And to see that we'll use this HANA plan visualizations. And each one would be for different, there'll be a lot of perspectives and each perspective is for a different purpose of it. or you can go to model. Let's say I want to go into administration. You click on this word. What is administration? Or I can say I would like to get into what administration console. So when I go to administration, you will see. At logo administrator what? Suppose a base person logs in, he would like to work on an admin. Then he'll have his own prospect of working. Oh, even one connector separate. So it will be single tool for each kind of role or each kind of activities you want to. You'll have different perspectives. That is what they call it as what perspective. Okay. Basically, you will get this only if you install those components. Only when I do install the Bidal components, I'll get that Bidal modeling tools. Only default ఉంటాయి. You will not have everything as default. You can control. Yeah. Actually, then even if you get in, I need to log in from there. I need to be able to create my project. You can see this. If I go to this list, you might be able to see them. But when I get in and if I try to create a project, you will not be able to do. That's how it is. You will be able to see the perspectives, but you will not be able to work onto those perspectives. That's all. Okay, so now let's say I'm in modeler and I can just, you can close your windows if you're not comfortable. And then there's one important thing is what is quick view. In older versions, we had launch quick launch, but now we see it as quick view. For most frequently performed operations, there is a shortcuts available from here. And let's say I want to do some SLT data provisioning. You can just click data provisioning and get into that, and straight up get to the SLT screen and where you can start replicating. Or let's say I want to do some importing of content. I can straight up get to this. And for more frequently performed operations, you can see shortcut links from here and where you can jump from here, from there. That is quick view on this. Okay. And then this is the main view. What is here? Systems views. So pretty much you go to any perspective, you'll have the systems view. That is where you basically add your system and get connected to the system, to a HANA server bus. Okay. And when you have the system connected and when you expand, you basically see 4 folders. One is catalog, content, provisioning, and security bus. Every system you get connected, when you expand, you see 4 folders here. Catalog, content, provisioning, and security. Basically, catalog will have all the database relevant, like say schema and the database objects. All the objects relevant to HANA database about schema, table, views, procedures, sequences, triggers, all the database components will be in the catalog folder. So these all are your schemas. So I expand schemas. Under the schema, I'll find all the database objects. And you'll have a folder called what? Content. Under the content folder, you'll have all HANA modeling content. When I say modeling content, it's about analytical attribute views, analytical views, or what? Calculation views, which you deploy virtual layer on top of those tables. And this is my package. And when I expand package, you can have sub packages also. And you have all HANA modeling content. Under the package, it's not about just models. You can also create your attribute view, analytical view, privileges, and what? Decision tables also. And in the provisioning, you'll basically have the flexibilities or concepts through which you can basically implement smart data access, through which you can connect the remote database to HANA bus. Yeah. Source database to HANA remotely can be connected. Yeah. And in security, you'll have users and roles where you can create new user or where you can create what? New role. And when you go with users, you'll basically control the security with privileges bus. So privilege is something it's like a right what user can do. So only when I give certain privileges, user will be able to do that particular activities or whatever it is. For example, I created a Cubex user 1 and is able to give only this access or something I can do. For example, say I will create a new user. I can just say some Pratap.
Users are all database users.
Yeah, database users.
Can we import users from Windows?
Yeah. There are different authentication mechanisms also. SAML, Kirbos, you can do different authentications. I'm doing nothing. Let's say I just give some access of some package for this guy. I just give him only 6 cubex. I give him. He'll not have access to all the packages. I just gave him access only for 6 cubex. Yeah. And I just give some privileges about repository. And if I give him, because if we need to give him access to the repository, I need to say execute. And package I just gave him. For this package, what all operations he can do, he can read, do edit, whatever it is he can do. And he should be able to grant others also. And I just say activate. Now my user is created. Now what I'll do, I'll connect the same system but with a different user. I'll say right click on the same system and say